मदज्ञानतिमिरसंहरण शुभकारिणी शरणुवाणी सत्यदीपाङ्कुरज्योतिशारदा सुदिव्यतेजोमयि सरस्वती स्मरामि।
Forward. All of us like stories. But in today's fast-paced life, there's not enough time to read. This book has some short and sweet stories. They capture the contemporary life of an ordinary person in India. These stories give you a taste of the current social fabric, the dynamics of a typical middle-class person, navigating his life through the joys and challenges it offers. Ravi Gurapadi. Story 1. The Thief and His Target. The train to Mumbai is about to arrive. The crowded platform looks chaotic. But if you look closely, it's very organic. A large family sitting in a circle having lunch. A wife talking to her husband. A child playing video games on his mobile. A poet sitting with a pen and notebook, looking for inspiration. The samosawala and chaiwala, going around shouting with their shrill voice to capture the attention of the passengers. The thief's eyes are scanning the platform like a hawk, looking for a target to pick and steal from. He is new to the profession, squandered his time in youth, no source of income. As long as his father was alive, he would take money from him. His sudden death forced him to look for ways to feed his family. Widowed mother, young wife, and small children. The small rented house in a slum area was full of daily challenges. You have to fight for everything. The kind of friends he had, choosing to be a pickpocketer, seemed like a good profession. His first day on the job. Prayed to Devi to be successful in his job. Applied kumkum on the forehead. Took his mother's blessings and arrived at his workplace. Bought a platform ticket and waited for his first customer. He went through the checklist his mentor gave him in his mind. Picking a target is the most important part. His eyes were scanning and got fixated on a young man. Neatly dressed, looking a little careless and lost in thought. This young man lost his job. He was going for a job interview in Mumbai. Trump's tariffs had an impact, and they laid off several workers in the carpet industry. He was thinking about his credit card dues, EMI for the apartment, and scooter loan. He also prayed to Devi, applied kumkum to the forehead, took blessings from his mother, and started from home. Lost in these thoughts, he was a little careless and was not watching his luggage. The train was arriving. Everyone was getting ready for the train to stop. They were looking for their compartment. The tray with biryani and chapati packets arrived to sell dinner. The thief locked in on his target and started walking. The thief and the target both are devotees of Devi and prayed for success. Whose side will Devi be on? Story 2. Loyalty of a Horse. Raivir was a little boy from Matharan. Matharan is a beautiful hill station in Maharashtra. It's pollution-free. Vehicles causing pollution are not allowed in this place. You have to walk or ride a horse. Raj was a happy-go-lucky boy. He loved to play the flute. His father was Dharam. He owned a horse named Rani. He used to take people on a tour of Matharan and charge them for it. The rates for horse ride were fixed by the government. 50 rupees per person for the 5-point ride, etc. Raj loved horses, and especially Rani. They were like buddies. They grew up together. As Rani was getting older, his father bought another horse. They named it Kalyani. Rani and Kalyani got along well. So, the father and son duo would get to work early in the morning. They would take the visitors around to all the scenic spots, like Monkey Point, Heart Point, etc. As they took the visitors to each spot and let them take their pictures and enjoy the scene, they would quietly sit near the tea stall and talk to the shop owners. At the Heart Point, there was a small time entrepreneur called Arjun. Arjun had a few guitars lined up. Some romantic people would hold the guitar and take a picture with it. Arjun would charge them 5 rupees and take nice pictures, with them holding the guitar, with the beautiful view of the valley in the background. He knew all the poses. He would ask them to look at the strings at a certain angle and then tilt the head a certain way. He mastered the poses. If you look at the pictures, you will feel like a professional guitarist is playing the instrument. Arjun and Rajveer were good friends. Both of them had one thing in common. They both hated mathematics. They couldn't pass any test in mathematics. So, they had to quit school. They haven't been to any other place other than Matharan. They don't know any other language except Marathi. A little bit of Hindi and a little bit of English they picked up from the visitors. Like the grandeur of the valley and the beauty of nature, they had a simple, joyous nature. No grand ambitions, no major goals. Just spend each day joyously. One morning, Dharam didn't wake up. All the villagers gathered and bid farewell to Dharam. Rajveer, Rani, and Kalyani sat in a corner silently. Rajveer got back to work after a couple of days. Rani wouldn't come, so he would take Kalyani and go to work. When he came back in the evening, he realized that Rani didn't eat any food. All the horse gram he left for it were untouched. He tried to feed it, but it wouldn't eat. He could see the sadness in its eyes. 1 week later, Rani died. Story 3. Princess Sulochana. Once upon a time, there was a princess in a faraway kingdom. Her name was Sulochana. She was a beautiful young lady, but there was one little thing she didn't like about her face. She had a large forehead in proportion to the rest of the face. She tried to cover it with different hairstyles, but she was not happy with any of those. The king was also worried about this. He got the best hairstylists and beauticians in the country to help. None of them could make her happy. Days and months passed by, and there was no solution to this problem. The princess was sad. There was a tradition in that kingdom. Any girl in the country who is getting married will be taken to a Devi temple. There's a lotus pond in front of the temple. The girl will be standing on one side, and the boy will be standing on the other side. The girl will look at the boy and then look at her reflection in the pond and smile. If the smile is genuine, the lamp in front of Devi is automatically lit and a lotus blooms in the pond. There's a celebration and the wedding takes place. As the princess was so sad about her look, they could not force her to see anyone. The lamp was not lit, and the lotus didn't bloom. The word spread across the country and beyond. The king announced that whoever makes the princess happy will get a reward of half the kingdom and would be married to the princess. There was a young village boy named Kanchan, who was considered a dim-wit by the villagers. He was not worldly wise and was happy taking care of his small farm and his parents. No one in the village would get their daughter married to him. So, his parents were worried. His mother was a devotee of Devi. She had long flowing hair. All the women in the village were envious of her hair. So, she made an offer to Devi. If you get my son married, I will offer my hair to you and shave my head. Devi was impressed with her offer. A beautiful woman offering her hair is not a small thing. So, she wanted to test her and came into her dream and asked her to shave the head first, and then she will get her son married. Her faith in Devi was absolute. She shaved her head off and did something the Devi instructed her to do, which we will discuss later. She packed some food and asked Kanchan to go to the king and tell him that he wants to marry his daughter, and gave him a gift box that was to be opened only in front of the princess. The guards at the palace wouldn't allow Kanchan to go inside. Then he sat there on the roadside and waited for the king's chariot to come out and shouted, "I have a solution to your problem." The king stopped and asked the guards to let the young man in. Though he was considered a dim-wit, he was a well-built man and had good looks. The king was so desperate, he was willing to do anything to make his daughter happy and get her married. The princess reluctantly agreed to go through the ritual. Arrangements were made, and they went to the Devi temple. Before Princess Sulochana could look at her reflection in the lotus pond, Kanchan gave her the gift from the gift box. It was a wig made from the beautiful hair of her mother. The princess put on the wig, and she was looking beautiful, and her big forehead was not visible anymore. A huge smile on her face, and she could see the reflection in the pond and the lamp lit. Kanchan and Princess Sulochana got married and lived happily ever after. Now you know when the first wig was made. Don't ask for the exact date. It is just folklore. Story 4. Ram and Hanuman. Pankaj loved Ramayan. Wherever there was a discourse on Ramayan or a Ram Katha, he would go there and listen to it. He bought various versions of Ramayan, written by different authors, starting from Valmiki, the original author. Ramayan never stopped fascinating him. All the characters had such depth and richness to them. One story that was mysterious to him was that of Hanuman meeting Ram. The speaker was talking about the relationship between Ram and Hanuman. He was saying, "You should be a Ram to attract a Hanuman. You should be a Hanuman to surrender when you see a Ram." That was an interesting way to look at it. He was walking back home and was reflecting on what was said. Pankaj always believed in practical wisdom. If any wisdom doesn't translate into usefulness in practical life, what's the point? Whenever he reads a good book or listens to someone speaking from their experience and from their heart, he reflects on those thoughts and tries to see how he can implement those ideas and wisdom in his life. Pankaj was a sweet person and a gentle soul, never hurting anyone by word or action. A very responsible and conscientious person. He had a lot of love and devotion for Ram and Hanuman both. This particular statement about Ram and Hanuman didn't sink in. He was going about life in his loving way, but this thought kept lingering in his mind. He started analyzing and comparing himself to Ram and Hanuman. Being honest with himself, he realized that he was nowhere close to Ram. Then he looked at all the characteristics of Hanuman. He felt he was close, and he had the devotion of a Hanuman towards Ram. Now the next logical question is how to find a living Ram in this day and age, to surrender like a Hanuman. Then he also remembered another thing he heard a while ago. When the student is ready, the teacher arrives. He started walking forward and noticed a beautiful person with a flowing white beard waving to him from a motorbike. He found his Ram. Story 5. Extra Samosa. Raj and Neerav's train got delayed by 10 hours. They have to reach Mumbai by early morning. There were no flights that night. They had no choice but to take the next bus to Mumbai. They were traveling by sleeper coach for the first time. They had to wait on the highway for the bus to arrive. These private buses operate from an interesting business model. They book from the starting point to the final destination. But every city or small town on the way can book a reservation. The passengers from that small town have to wait on the highway at the nearest exit. The bus will stop for a few minutes, pick them up and move on. This way, The bus owner can optimize on filling all the seats on the bus for it to be profitable for that trip. They don't have to go into the town or have an office in that town. It's also beneficial to the people of that small town as they have access to the bus without having to go to the nearest big city to catch a bus to their destination. These sleeper coaches are well designed. Both of them got onto the upper berth of one of the seats. They started talking about their childhood and all the fun they had as kids, and how life has become monotonous and stressful once they started working, etc. The regular bumps on the roads would keep rocking them as they were talking. Most of these buses don't have bathrooms. The driver would stop once in a while for passengers to get some tea or food from the dabas on the highway and also go to the bathroom if needed. If there is an urgent need, you can always go to the front of the bus and request the driver to stop the bus. You can quickly relieve yourself on the side of the road and get back on the bus. The bus stopped at a daba. Everyone got down. Nirav ate a samosa. The samosa was very tasty, so he had an extra one and got back on the bus. The driver made sure everyone was back with his helper, counting the number of people in the bus. The bus picked up momentum and started cruising along on the highway. Let us leave the bus journey aside for a minute. There was a party going on in one of the farmhouses nearby. The rich and spoiled brats from the city had gathered there to have a birthday bash. Liquor is flowing, and some weed also makes way into the party. The party is picking up momentum. Everyone is high on one substance or the other. Suddenly, Rocky remembers that he forgot to say, "I love you" to his sweetheart, though it was on his mind for a few weeks now. Now he was high and had the courage to speak up. He called up his girlfriend and was about to say, but realized that the best way to say it was in person. He cuts the phone, takes his bike, and heads towards her home. He was high, the highway was empty, there were no speed limits on the road or in his mind. His spirit was high, he was flying, and one little skid, and the bike started flying. Let us come back to our bus. The extra samosas, having satisfied the taste buds on the tongue, didn't make peace with the stomach. He was about to vomit. He rushed to the front of the bus. The driver saw the situation and immediately stopped the bus on the side. Nirav quickly got off the bus, ran a little bit, and started puking. Along with the samosa, all the junk food he ate that day started coming out. He was about to faint. He closed his ears and finished vomiting. The driver was yelling for him to get back on the bus as they were getting late. He slowly lifted his face and looked at the bus. The flying bike hit the bus, and the bus went up in flames. Everyone was asleep. No one survived. Story 6. Checkmate. John loves to play chess online. He plays for an hour every day. That is his way of unwinding for the day. Once he is back from his work, he takes a shower and relaxes in his favorite reclining chair. His wife brings him a hot cup of masala chai. The reclining chair has a nice cup holder to hold the hot tea. He takes his lightweight MacBook Air and starts playing a game of chess. As he is strategizing for the next move, his thoughts were around the friction he had at work with his boss. These days, his boss has been a little nasty with him. He didn't know the reason, but every day, he is picking on him for little things. One core value that was taught by his mentor was, never work in a place where you don't have a good rapport with your boss. Don't stay and fight the boss and the system. Just quit and look for a different place to work. Lost in those thoughts, he lost focus on the game at hand, and before he realized, his opponent moved swiftly, and game over, checkmate. It was like a eureka moment for John. That's it. He was not focusing on what was happening at work and trying to look at it only from his pain point, rather than analyzing the situation objectively. He was good at what he did, and everyone at work respected him for his skill and experience. His boss was also appreciative of his work and always recognized his efforts and the value he adds to the organization. Then why this sudden shift in his attitude towards him? He decided to be more observant from the next day and try to understand the new dynamic instead of jumping to a conclusion and quitting the job. The next day at work was similar to the last few days. He prepared the report for the meeting, and his boss started picking on silly things in the report in front of everyone. He didn't respond or defend, just said, "Okay, boss, I will make the changes and submit again." All day, his eyes were on every move of his boss, what he was doing, and who he was talking to. He also looked at the changes in the organization and what happened in the recent past, and from what point his boss started treating him differently. A few days of observation, and John knew exactly what happened. When he reached home that day, he asked his wife to make hot pakoda to go with the chai and went for his shower. His wife was surprised. Usually John only had tea after work and then had dinner after some time. Very rarely, only when he is in a good mood, does he ask for this kind of special treat. She happily started making the dough for the pakoda and started cutting the onions. John came out of the shower and relaxed in his favorite reclining chair. His hot cup of masala chai in the cup holder and a plate of crisp pakoda. Taking a bite of pakoda, he appreciated his wife for the tasty snack and took a sip of hot tea and started playing his game of chess. Again lost in the thoughts about his boss and the workplace. Again he lost the game as his opponent moved swiftly, and it was game over, checkmate. And he shouted checkmate loudly and happily closed his laptop and asked his wife to get ready, as they were going out for dinner to celebrate some good news. His wife didn't understand what was going on and didn't know what the good news was, but she was happy to go out for dinner. It has been a while. At dinner, he explained to his wife about the situation at work and what he plans to do. His boss got a new boss recently. Whenever this new boss had any doubt about the reports John did, he would take him to the meetings with the upper management, where John could explain it to them. This new boss noticed that the actual work was being done by John, but the credit was going to John's boss, and was thinking of firing him and promoting John to this position. John's boss was upset and didn't know how to handle this situation. He started treating John badly so that he would quit the job. But since John was not quitting, he was looking for a new job outside in the market. Today, he got a job and he resigned, and John was promoted. He lost the game on the laptop, but won the game at work. Checkmate. Story 7. Gopal Rao, Sir Advocate. Anil was sitting on the bench in the court hall, waiting for his advocate. He saw the notice board for the list of cases for that day. His number was towards the end. The judge walked in and settled down. She asked her assistant to start calling the cases. He would mumble the advocate's name. The attendant would shout loudly the name of the lawyer to come in front of the judge. Anil started playing Sudoku on his mobile phone. When he lifted his head to see if his lawyer came, he saw Radhika and her lawyer walking in. He buried his head in the phone and continued playing Sudoku with a serious face, so that others would think he is checking some important messages. Finally, his lawyer Gopal Rao arrived. He was waiting for the attendant to call Gopal Rao, Sir Advocate. He lifted his head and glanced hesitantly to see what Radhika was doing. She was listening to some music with her headphones on. Hair a little carelessly done. Casually dressed in a light-colored salwar suit. Whether she was dressed up or casually dressed, she had a certain elegance and grace with which she carried herself. His thoughts took him back 10 years when he first met her. Eyes closed, memories pouring in, he was lost in the past. Radhika and Anil got married 8 years ago. They met on the first day at work. Colleagues became friends, and friendship blossomed into love, and they got married. Both of them decided to have children 3 years after marriage. 3 years passed just like that. When they decided to conceive, they went on a second honeymoon. In 3 months, Radhika was pregnant. Everything was going according to plan. Happy couple, enjoying the pleasures of married life. In a regular monthly checkup, the doctor did some tests and told them that all is not well, and the pregnancy had to be aborted because of a complication. Shocking news, not prepared for it, all dreams shattered. But both of them held each other and stood strong and got over it. 2 more years and another abortion. Friction for silly reasons. They didn't know what was happening, but they started giving pain to each other. When better sense prevailed, they decided to reprioritize their lives and start afresh. They decided to get a divorce with mutual consent. No emotional dependency or brooding over shattered dreams. Starting afresh with a clean slate. Radhika moved back to her parents' house. The attendant calling, Gopal Rao Sir Advocate, brought him back to the present. Story 8. The Accidental Writer. Surya was a successful professional and enjoyed his work. He had a dream one night, and that changed his whole perspective of life. In the dream, he was an ant. He was a busy ant like all ants and was happily following the line and the leader. They would look for grains of food, carry loads beyond their weight, save for the rainy day. Then one day, as he was carrying a huge grain of sugar and walking back to his ant hill, a huge guy stepped on him and crushed him. Immediately he woke up. Half asleep and half in the dream, he remembered the ant that he was and was, sweating in fear, and also saw that the feet that crushed the ant was his. He sat up in bed. Couldn't understand which was real. Was he the ant that got crushed, or was he the person who crushed it? He had important meetings that day, so he put his thoughts aside and went to work. But the vivid memory of the dream and the question, am I the ant that got crushed, or am I the person that crushed it, was bothering him. He couldn't do any work. Some foreign delegates were coming for a meeting, and he had to make a presentation. Being the loyal employee and the conscientious person that he was, he finished his responsibility at work and headed home. Didn't feel like going home, as there was no one waiting for him at home. The children were all grown up and living their lives. His wife recently passed away, and he was trying to bury himself in work and trying to escape the emptiness. He started learning foreign languages, music, dance, and taking on more projects at work. He was just trying to keep busy. But this dream shook him like anything. The question was bothering him like anything. Am I the ant that got crushed, or am I the person that crushed it? His financial needs were minimal, and there was no need for him to work for money. Not knowing the answer to the question, he wanted to explore. Where to start? How to start? He stopped near a glass window of a fancy pen shop. He casually walked in. He didn't know that people still used pens and that there was a shop exclusively for pens. They had expensive pens, and he was surprised by looking at the price tag. He could easily buy a laptop for that price. One particular pen was looking at him, as if he found a lost friend after lifetimes. He was drawn to it. got close to it, and looked at it carefully. Beautiful pen with golden nib. He held it in his hand, and it felt like it was part of his hand. There was an ink bottle next to it. He dipped the nib in the ink and found a piece of paper next to it and scribbled something. When he looked at what he wrote, he was shocked. "You are the ant that got crushed, and also the person who crushed it, you fool." He wanted to run away from that store, so he immediately started walking out of the store. The security alarm went off, and the security person stopped him. He said, "Sir, you need to pay for the pen." He saw that the pen was stuck to his hand. He quietly walked to the counter, apologized, and bought the pen. The person at the counter said that there was a special offer with that pen and gave him a bundle of paper with beautifully decorated borders. He walked back home, made himself a hot cup of tea, and opened the paper bundle. Took the pen and started writing. Didn't know what he was writing. It was his resignation letter. From that day, he had a new routine. Every day, it was a new routine. He would not repeat a day. One day, he would go to a park. The next day, he would go to the beach. The next day, he would go to a busy market. Nothing was decided, nothing planned. He woke up when he felt like, walked out of the house with his backpack, which had a writing pad, some paper, and the pen. He would sit and start writing wherever he was. When he felt like taking a break, he would put the paper back in the backpack and go home. He would start afresh the next day and explore it with his pen. He didn't even bother reading what he wrote. Beautiful poetry, fascinating stories, profound wisdom was pouring out from that pen. Is he the pen that is writing the stories? Or is he the person who is writing with the pen? He knew he was an accidental writer. He doesn't know how, when, or why it happened. But he can't stop writing. Story 9. Muqaddar ka Sikandar. There was once a small trader. His name was Sikandar. He used to do day trading and make some profit by the end of the day. He was good at reading trends and knew when to get in and when to get out. He didn't do much schooling, but somehow picked up this skill. He used to make a profit of at least 2,000 rupees per day, consistently. He was happy with this and didn't want to expand or take any risks with more money. But like all of us, greed took over, and one day, he decided to take a risk. He invested all the savings he had that day, but the market crashed and he lost everything. He didn't know any other skill, so didn't know what else to do to run the family. His wife Afsha was a graduate, but didn't do any work. As her husband was earning well, she was happy to be a homemaker. Now that the financial crisis hit the family, she decided to step in and help the family. She did a SWOT analysis to find out her strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. She realized that she was a good teacher, as all her children would happily learn from her and were doing well at school. She applied for the teacher training program, Bachelor of Education, which was a requirement for being a school teacher. They needed money for the training and money to survive for the duration of the training before she could start earning money. Being the wise homemaker she was, she saved some money for the rainy day without her husband's knowledge. But that was not enough. So she started doing some tailoring work and earned some extra money. But it was still not enough to pay the school fee for the children. Because they could afford it, they put the 4 children in expensive private schools. Now that has become a big burden. The school sent notice that the children will be taken off the school rolls if the fee was not paid in 1 month. She was not only a smart woman, but also a wise person. She didn't believe in hiding the reality with the children. She took all of them out to the park. After the children had fun playing, and when everyone was in a happy mood,
She talked to them about the financial crisis the family was going through. She told them that they could not afford the expensive school anymore, and they had to look for alternatives. The younger one started crying, as she would lose all her friends. But the older children understood and stayed silent. They all loved their mother so much that they agreed to support her during these challenging times. They said, whatever she decides, they would be okay with it. The eldest boy even offered to do a part-time job to support the family. She was touched by the love and support the children showed. She told them that it was not required and asked the children to just focus on their studies. She would figure out if it was homeschooling or another less expensive school that they will go to. They had 1 month to make that decision. Sikandar was very impressed. He always took his wife for granted and didn't realize the multifaceted woman that she was. He felt proud and lucky to have such a beautiful and smart woman as his wife. He also started to think how he could help the situation. The only skill he knew was not useful anymore. Then he asked his wife about SWOT analysis and started analyzing to see what other skills he had. He was good at chess as a kid. But it's been a while. With the trading taking up most of his time, he never played chess for a long time. He signed up with the free chess portal online and started playing. He quickly got up to a very good rating. He was feeling good and enjoying the success. But how to translate this into something financially useful to the family? One of their family friends was from the Nawab lineage of the Nizam of Hyderabad. He inherited a lot of property in Hyderabad. His favorite pastime was playing chess. He was good at it, but was from the old school and only liked to play in person with a chessboard. One day, when he came to visit Sikandar, he saw him playing online chess. He never knew Sikandar played chess. As Sikandar did not have a chessboard at home, the Nawab invited Sikandar to his palace the next day to play chess with him. The grand palace in the old city had a huge hall specifically for playing chess. The board was set up, there was a table with hot tea, a tray of fresh pan, and a hookah was on the side to smoke. A really Nawabi-style environment to play chess. Sikandar easily defeated the Nawab in no time. The Nawab was shocked and hurt. He never lost a game in decades, and here Sikandar defeated him just like that. He asked for a rematch and a rematch with the same result. He was getting nervous, started smoking his hookah, and wondering how to defeat Sikandar. Sikandar realized that his host was getting angry, so he let him win the next game. The Nawab was elated. Promptly, Sikandar said he had to leave, as he had some work, and took leave. The Nawab invited Sikandar again the next day. This time, Sikandar decided to deliberately lose more than half the games, so that the Nawab felt he was at the same level as Sikandar and a little better. The Nawab's ego was satisfied, and he asked Sikandar to play a game for bet money. Sikandar said he did not have enough money to wage a bet. The Nawab made an offer. If Sikandar loses, he had to pay only 100 rupees, but if the Nawab lost, he would pay him 1000 rupees, 1-to-10 ratio. Sikandar was smart enough to let the Nawab win more than half the time. But because of the ratio, he would end up making some money by the end of the session. Though he lost some money, the Nawab felt he was winning more games and that he was better than Sikandar. One day, he invited all his chess-loving friends and wanted to have a big showdown to show everyone how good a player he was. Sikandar defeated all his friends in no time. Now the final match was with the Nawab. They had to decide on the wager. The Nawab said, "It will be whatever Sikandar wanted." Then Sikandar said, "Let's make it a fun wager. The chessboard has 64 blocks. We will play one chess game each day
for 64 days. Each day, the wager will be placed on a different block of the board, starting from the first. The winner gets double the amount placed as a wager on the block that day. The Nawab was excited, he said. Let's do it, without realizing what he was getting into. The deal was struck in front of all the bigwigs of Hyderabad. The Nawab was a man of his word, and there was no going back. Sikandar had his strategy planned perfectly. He knew what he was doing. Day 1. Sikandar placed a 1 rupee coin on the first block of a beautifully designed chessboard studded with diamonds. They were playing on a different board. He lost the game and placed the 2 rupees on the second block. Day 2, Sikandar lost again and placed 4 rupees on the third block. He lost consecutively for 17 days. His wife was worried. She had saved about 1 lakh rupees with difficulty. And now Sikandar lost 32,766 rupees already. He just smiled at her and said, "Now watch." She knew him well enough to know how smart he was, and silently gave him the remaining money. Day 18. Sikandar put down double of 32,766, which is 65,536. The Nawab was feeling bad that he was winning from his poor friend. He offered to stop the games if his friend wished to, or to change the wager. Sikandar said, "Let us play for 64 days no matter what. Neither you should go back on your word, nor I will go back on my word." Sikandar started winning every day since then. They reached day 64. The Nawab had become a nervous wreck, and all the money was not readily available. So, had to write a legal note that he owed that much money to Sikandar and would place it on the chess block for the day. All the spectators were spellbound, looking at the numbers. Before they started the match on day 64, Sikandar made an offer. He said, "If for any reason you cannot find the cash to pay back, I will ask for 2 of your properties, and you will have to give them to me irrespective of the amount you owe me." The Nawab asked what the 2 properties were. One was the land on which his children's school was built. The Nawab owned the land, and the school management was leasing it from him. The second was the Rolls-Royce car the Nawab owned. The Nawab agreed. Sikandar made the match look real close and finally won it. The Nawab ended up keeping his promise. Sikandar's children were going to school in a Rolls-Royce from the next day. You can do the math and figure out what happened from day 19 to day 64, and why the Nawab agreed to do this deal. Story 10. Breakup. Rohan and Sarita were in a live-in relationship. Both of them were smart young people in the IT industry. The typical IT culture: working US hours, late-night work, pubs and parties. They found a certain connection on the first day they met, and it blossomed into a beautiful relationship. Both of them were from the current generation of social media and Instagram, posting every meal they eat, showcasing every new dress, sending pics from every holiday. They were not keen on getting married and getting an official stamp to their relationship by the society. Though their parents were not happy, they moved in together and started a fresh life. Money was good, both were earning. 2 nice cars, an apartment in a posh locality, lots of cash on hand to spend on the weekends, having fun and enjoying the youth to the fullest. Both were from middle-class background, but somehow developed this hyped-up lifestyle and the associated consequences. When they went for their regular checkup, Rohan realized that he was a borderline diabetic, and Sarita realized that the dresses she bought a few weeks ago were not fitting her, and her BMI was high. They both decided to get fit and hired a personal coach and got membership in an expensive gym.
Let us leave Rohan and Sarita aside for a little while and understand the current trends in the market. Artificial intelligence is slowly seeping in, and no one can even fathom the impact it will have on the job market. The indicated numbers are alarming. A lot of people would lose their jobs to AI. But if you are like a frog that is in a boiling pot, you wouldn't feel the heat until it is too late. Instead of one frog in boiling water, it was two. Both of them were unaware of the consequences of AI and that they had to plan for their future differently instead of depending only on the skills that had a market value today. One fine morning, both of them got fired. They couldn't sustain the expensive lifestyle. Reality hit them in the face. They surrendered the apartment and the cars. Breakup time. Both said goodbye to each other and headed to their parents' home. Waiting for the bus, both of them were browsing the books in a bookstore in the bus stand. They saw a small book for 150 rupees. The title was interesting: Reparent Yourself. Stop Blaming, Start Rebuilding. The author was not someone famous or familiar, but it was only 150 rupees. So, both of them bought the book and got on their separate buses and started reading the book.
Story 11. Perfumed Cotton Prasad. Ashok was in a disturbed state of mind for the last few days. His grandfather was on deathbed. He was 95 years old and was not in a position to speak properly. Just a smile on his face and a little bit of speech. He could barely hear but wouldn't use a hearing aid. He was able to manage his daily chores on his own with minimal help. There was no need for hospitalization. He wanted to die at home when it happened. For the last few days, the smile was gone and he was worried about something. He tried to speak and articulate something, but no one could understand what he was saying. Ashok was his favorite grandson, and he would call Ashok and mumble something. When he did not understand what was being said, there would be a sad look on his face. Ashok didn't know what to do. Then he persuaded his grandpa to use the hearing aid for a few seconds and listened carefully. He was saying something he could not understand and ending with the word sham and was signaling smelling something. Ashok went away and tried to make sense of this. He thought his grandpa was asking for the smell of Shandan from a Sham temple. So, he went to the nearby Krishna temple and got the sandalwood paste and rubbed it on his grandpa's wrist. He smelled it and just turned away. Ashok asked Chandan from Shyam temple. His grandfather mumbled something and Shyam. He recorded the voice and was trying to decipher what was being said. After a couple of days of trial and error with Radhe Shyam and different variations, he told his wife to stop the recording and said cut. He saw a glow on his grandpa's face. He said cut again, and he called him close and said Kuttu. He didn't get it. He was trying Kuttu Shyam. His grandpa held his hand with tears in his eyes. What was Kuttu Shyam? Did he mean Kut Shyam? He started Googling and found something called Khatu Shyamji's temple. He found that there was a Khatu Shyamji's temple in Rajasthan, and there was a temple in the town he was living in as well. He went there and asked the priest about the history of this temple. The priest began to tell an old legend, his voice echoing softly through the temple hall. Barbrik, the warrior who never fought. The legend of Khatu Shyamji. Long ago, before the great war of Kurukshetra began, there lived a young warrior named Barbrik, the grandson of mighty Bhima and son of Gatotkacha. He was born of strength and devotion, fierce in courage, yet pure in heart. From childhood he worshipped Lord Shiva and the goddess Shakti, and through years of penance, he earned 3 divine arrows. Weapons so powerful that no force on earth could stand against them.
With the first arrow, he could mark all he wished to destroy. With the second, all he wished to protect. And with the third, he could bring an end to whatever destiny decided. Because of this, he was known as Teen Bandari, the bearer of 3 arrows. Before leaving home, Barbrick promised his mother that he would always stand with the weaker side. It was an oath of compassion, but also one that destiny had never tested. For in a battle as vast as Kurukshetra, the weaker side would change with every passing moment. And one who fought for both would end up destroying all. As Barbrick approached the battlefield, Lord Krishna appeared before him in the guise of a simple Brahmin. "Tell me, young warrior," Krishna asked, "how long would you take to end this war?" Barbrick smiled and said, "In the blink of an eye, with my 3 arrows." Krishna, curious, placed a few leaves beneath a tree and hid one under his foot. Barbrick released an arrow. It marked every leaf, and then began circling Krishna's feet. When Krishna lifted his foot, the arrow pierced the hidden leaf. The divine smiled and understood that if Barbrick fought, no one would survive. Revealing his true form, Krishna said, "You are the greatest of warriors, and for that reason you cannot fight. Offer me your head as Guru Dakshina, so the balance of the world may be preserved." Without hesitation, Barbrick bowed his head and offered it in sacrifice. Krishna placed it on a hill overlooking the battlefield, blessing him with eternal sight. For 18 days, Barbrick's head watched the war, every act of bravery and every fall of pride. When it ended, Krishna asked him, "Tell me, who won this war?" Barbrick smiled and said, "I saw no men win, no men lose. It was your Sudarshana chakra and the power of the goddess that moved unseen. Men were but instruments in the hands of destiny." Krishna blessed him, saying, "In the age to come, you will be worshipped in my name as Sham, the Dark One, the beloved of truth and devotion." And so Barbrick became Khatushamji, the silent witness of Kurukshetra, the warrior who never fought, yet saw everything through the eyes of the soul. When the priest stopped speaking, the temple returned to its hum. The sound of bells, murmured prayers, and a legend that still lived in every breath of Katu. Ashok bowed to Khatushamji and was about to leave the temple. Then a devotee gave him a small cotton ball from a garland of cotton balls. There is a tradition in that temple that you offer a garland of cotton balls dipped in perfume to the deity and then offer it as prasad to devotees. Ashok took that cotton ball and took it home along with the other prasad and the tulasi leaves. He went straight to his grandpa and whispered in his ear that he came from the Khatushamji's temple. His grandpa's eyes lit up. He gave the perfumed cotton ball to him and placed the tulasi leaves in his mouth. Grandpa smelled the perfume, started chewing the tulasi leaves, and had a big smile on his face. This beautiful smile was his last and lasting smile. What a way to leave this body with the last wish on the bucket list fulfilled. Acknowledgements. The story, Perfumed Cotton Prasad, includes a retelling of the legend of Barbrick, also known as Khatushamji, from Indian folklore and the Mahabharata tradition.